Go big.
Yeah.
And that's probably the worst thing you could ever tell me, because I do like to go big.
Hello and welcome to Behind the Lens, an inside look at what it's like to gather TV news. I'm Stuart Pittman, Chief Photojournalist for Queen City News Plus, and I'm glad you're here. This week, we're going big. When you think of a news crew, you probably think of one camera and little else. There's nothing particularly wrong with that. But here at Queen City News, we like to spread it on a little thicker. Lots of lights, a couple of cameras,
No, that's good. That's a good frame. I'm seeing good bottom. Everybody's involved.
and more lens analysis than you'll find in an optometrist office. It's almost always a blast, even when things go wrong. Yes, things can go wrong, but they usually go right if you prepare and plan enough and have a little bit of luck. And here to tell us all about that are two folks who know very well what I'm talking about, and that is photojournalist Kevin Pinto and photojournalist Tim Turbo Mulligan. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hey, I rarely know what you're talking about.
Who are you?
We'll get to that later. We surely we can edit something.
Yeah.
No, we're here to talk about going big, and we need to explain what we mean by that.
Please
So let's do. Most people think of a TV news crew as a one person, one photographer, one camera, maybe a light, and a reporter on the side of the road. And very often that is the case and exactly how TV news goes down. But we at Queen City News like to go big, and by that we like to do big productions, and we like to drag out lots of cameras and lights and tools and biddly boops and really put on good old-fashioned television. We have a series called Hometown, which is where we go every week, 2 seasons a year. We go highlight a different town or a different area or different region somewhere around the area, and we do our newscast live. And by that, I mean we go live with our main anchor at one position, this being an example of it right here. We have our meteorologists from a separate location, and then we have our feature reporters from a third. So we have 3 big live shots going on at one time, and it's not just one camera, one light. As you can see from these photos, it's quite elaborate. We'll get into why that's so elaborate a little bit later when we talk to Randy Nilsson. But Tim, give me an idea of what it's like to work on one of these things, because this is not just popping in at the last minute, throwing up a camera and a light and saying go.
Not at all. It's pulling out a wagon and loading it up with a couple of 100 pounds of equipment and schlepping it, as you like to say,
Yeah.
from one place to the other and trying to get it all set up. And you got to find power and battle the sun. And it's actually what really gets me fired up. Some people don't like production. Some people do. I thrive on that stuff. To me, the whole process is just fun.
And Tim doesn't mess around. We all know Tim does not mess around.
No.
You can go into Tim's car, and how many bins of equipment are
Good
we
luck
gonna?
finding anything.
It's
It's
like
all labeled,
yeah, it's like a news car
I
right
do have a
at a
label
Goodwill
obsession.
store.
which is good because you don't want to lose your equipment.
Right.
And we photogs, I like to steal stuff from each other. But I mean, you go all out on your productions. I've seen it. Me, I'm much lazier. I'm like, all right, here's one light, and good luck.
Yeah.
But you definitely, and I know you have 15 carts, and you strap everything to each other, and it's
Right.
Yeah.
Tim definitely has quite the setup.
He's a walking TV station.
Yes.
And that can be good and bad, let me tell you. Just the other day, he sent me to his car to find some gadget, and I cracked it open, and it was like a news car ran into a Goodwill store. And he had everything in there you would ever need.
He does love some Goodwill, doesn't he?
Well, good luck finding it.
Right.
Good luck finding
Yeah,
it.
but that's all he found is half of the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
For the productions and
Surprisingly
cords
enough,
and all
you're
the
right.
stuff. Yeah, the carts. Because not only do we do productions here, right? We kind of set them up for the Panther games and stuff like that, which is a whole nother obviously episode. But that's a whole nother production in itself that we have to manage, and we have to pack pretty tight with that.
Yeah, we do.
But yeah, I mean the productions are fun, right? It's a lot of work.
It is.
It is a lot of work.
It's normally a lot more setup than it is execution, in that we get there early. We set up everything we think we'll need, and then we do some waiting until the actual show goes on the air. The show very often is an hour long, whether we are carrying it live or putting it to tape. But we have gained a reputation, rightly deserved, for not being afraid to throw up a big production anywhere. We've traveled all over the state. We've traveled to South Carolina, which is part of our viewing region, and we have just gone all out. And I will say that, we've been doing this about 5 years. 5 years ago, I'd have told you I knew everything. I knew it all. In the past 5 years, I've learned a lot about live television from putting together these productions. And this guy right here, Randy, with the crazy grin, is mainly responsible. We'll get to him in a minute.
And there's another crazy grin.
That's a
Yeah,
crazy.
well, you can't just have brain surgeons behind TV
Yeah.
cameras. You got to have a certain pirate type of person.
Well, in these productions, right? They have so much that we have to deal with out there. It's audio and lighting and making sure talent looks good as good as they can, and make sure they're on time. We definitely work with people who show up, 10 seconds before, and they're like, "Hey, why doesn't my audio sound good?" It's like, we didn't have a chance to check it.
Yep.
There's just so much that nobody will ever see and no one cares about.
Nor should they, as a viewer, have to.
No, I hope they wouldn't, right? Because if our audio's terrible or whatever, they're just going to be like, "Why I can't hear anything?"
Yeah,
And they're just going to get mad and call the station.
sure.
Then we're going to make sure we have backups for things because
Oh yeah.
you may be way out in the field and you ain't got time if something breaks and you don't have a replacement, then you're kind of out of luck.
Oh yeah,
So,
finding power is always can be a problem.
That's always-
Sometimes we have batteries and those die, and
yeah.
setting up TVs out in the field, which is always fun, right? And having
Very
cords
fun.
that don't work, yeah, it's nothing.
I will say, after doing so many live productions in so many precarious situations, that it's built up our confidence, and that now we can pretty much go live from anywhere. Just yesterday, we went live from the 3 rooftops of 3 20-story buildings in uptown Charlotte, and that was no great challenge because you're up there, you've got power, no one's yelling at you, you got a beautiful view. It's hard to mess up. But we have gone live from so many different places that we've kind of become confident, just from all that practice, that we can pretty much do this setup anywhere. And with our bosses, we'll have to.
Yeah, we should have showed off
It is.
the live view, because think about it. I mean, some people don't know that how this works. They still think we use trucks sometimes.
Sure.
I don't know if we would have been able to do live shots from the top of a building with live trucks.
Yeah.
Or running a lot of cable.
Yeah, drop down.
Oh my gosh, that would be miserable. So now we have like backpacks, right? They're called live views or TV views.
Sure.
And yeah, we can go live from pretty much anywhere, which is fantastic. But I remember live trucks, right, trying to bounce signals off of buildings, off the ground, and you have to call somebody and say, "Hey, can you find me?" And you're spinning this dish around.
Well, just trying to find a parking spot for a big cargo van in the middle of a downtown area during a murder trial.
Yeah.
Can really make parallel parking quite stressful.
Oh, I loved it. Eventually, you become a pro, right? And you're almost like
Yeah.
proud of it. You're like, "I'm gonna show
Yeah.
Well, I remember one of my stations, my other stations, we were doing a political event, and we had to drop cable or a cable reel from like the 12th floor
Sure.
and run out all the way across the street, not
Yeah.
the street,
Right,
but
right.
the side street. And
Well,
it's like, that is a nightmare.
It is a nightmare, but because that was the technology of the time, that's
Right.
what you dealt with.
That's
It
what you had to do.
found
Yeah, you didn't know any better, right?
Yeah,
Now we
yeah.
do. Now I'm like, if you give me a live truck, I'm not doing the live. I'm not
Right.
doing the production.
It's like the light
Get some other
years.
fool.
I'm not sure I can
Changed the
spell
game.
live truck anymore. I would be hard pressed to operate one.
But I mean, there's still like the big companies still have production trucks,
Sure,
right? They're still
sure.
using it, and they're still running the wires and stuff. I mean, I would say it's maybe more reliable. I mean, you could easily
Yeah.
lose cable and or something like that, but I mean, we can lose signal easily as well. So there's still things that you're juggling with both kind of productions.
Well, we do both of those here. We do the big productions and we do daily news all the time. And I will say, for most TV stations of our size and in today's environment, when one person crews are all the norm, we do a lot bigger productions than most stations this size do, and that's a blessing and a curse because we're always kind of pushing the envelope, and that's great to pursue excellence. But man, what a pain in the keister that can be all the time. So,
What's your like most? Which one do you loathe the most, Stuart?
which production do I?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
That's
I guess what's been the toughest ones, right? And I think I have an idea of which one you
I
don't
would-
enjoy as much.
Well, I'm curious to hear that, but I would say the one that springs to mind is just all the stuff we did with the aftermath of Hurricane Helene,
Okay.
and that we weren't just going live with a big production early in the morning. We were doing that 3 hours uphill. We had to get up at 1 in the morning, drive up the mountain, and then set up. That was a stressful drive, thinking, hope all this works.
Yeah, with weather it's a little bit tougher too.
Yeah,
right?
a whole lot.
And Tim, you probably have a
Oh,
favorite
dang.
more than you don't, maybe more than you don't like them. Which ones do you like the most?
For big productions, I love the BBKL stuff. That and when we travel somewhere, love to just, like he says, schlep up a mountain, go there. That was one of my favorite and I can't remember which exactly it was, but the one where we stayed across the street from our site in that little
In that little
renovated place.
that little mountain town, we had
Yeah, it was,
yeah.
That's right. Yeah, there was a bridge that had collapsed that me and
Yeah.
Ted worked at.
Right.
Yeah, that was a pretty good setup as far as for you guys. to
What's
live across the street.
what's sad is I can't remember the name of that.
Well, they all
I
run
can't remember
together,
the
and
name
we've
of
done
it.
so many.
And I was
but
like,
it was so
"This
cool
looks like
because you could see the lines where the water had reached, like
Yeah.
way over our head, and that was just it was like a devastating moment.
You're not going to be able to
Surprising.
understand what Hurricane Helene
Right.
did unless you go there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
To
it's just
see the
mind-
devastation with your own eyes, you're like,
Yeah.
holy cow!
I thought for sure you weren't gonna like the Panther ones that we used to do.
I did too. I thought that was what he would say.
I think that's what the truth is.
Dude, I believe
Those
black and blue.
5-day,
I
two
hated
people.
Spartanburg.
Yeah, Spartanburg.
Those are my favorite.
Panthers training camp, Spartanburg for 3 straight weeks.
Daytona.
in the
Yeah.
heat was a bit much for Stuart Pitt.
It is. But and Stewart still thinks that Baker Mayfield's their quarterback. So him and Sam Darnold, they're still competing.
Well, that would be a
Found it.
bad thing now because I
Yeah, I
love
know.
Bryce, but
All right. Well,
That's a
we're
different
getting
topic.
off topic. We're getting off topic, but very soon we're going to meet the man behind all these productions, the 2 men behind all these productions, and the people who make us go out and do all this stuff. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we're back talking about going big in the live, big, multi-camera productions we like to do at Queen City News. And here to tell us all about that are the 2 men most responsible for said projects, News Director Casey Clark and Operations Manager Randy Nilsson. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. Well,
Wow.
we're here talking about the fact that we at Queen City News like to go big and do big productions and take our anchors and weather people and feature reporters out in the field and point more than one camera at them, but actually go old school with multi-camera, multi-lights, multi-microphones, the whole stagecraft of television that not all local television stations get to do. And we couldn't do that without the both of you because, A, Randy, you're the one who makes it happen, and Casey, you're the one who tells us where to make it happen. Where am I going wrong here?
Well, when this gentleman here brought me on, gave me the call, and Casey and I have known each other for years and years, he knew my background. He says, hey, I need you to come to Charlotte and go big.
Yeah.
And that's probably the worst thing you could ever tell me because I do like to go big.
Yes.
Anywhere from putting a meteorologist up in a hot air balloon or a Ferris wheel for 157 revolutions.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we do, and it's what we've done. It's what I've learned to do, and I'm not really sure I know how to go take it down a level or two. So that's what he wanted, and that's what he got, and that's where we go. And when we go out to do the productions that Casey's asked for, I basically told our crew when we go out there, I want you to take local right out of your vocabulary because
Right.
when we're doing shoots and shows and specials and stuff like that, I don't want this to look local. I want this to look network quality or better.
Right.
And I go there because that's the way I am, but I know that's the way Casey is.
Well,
And, and I will say, this is a little weird being on this side of the lens. I like being on the other side. One of the things I like about it, I'll take it from Ron Howard, famed director. He was an childhood actor, grew up, American Graffiti, and acted, and they made the change. And they said, why'd you make the change to directing? He goes, because I saw everybody on the other side of the lens having more fun than those on the front side of the lens.
yeah.
And that's what we are. That's what we do. We
Of
get up.
all of the Ron Howard things that you could reference where he was an actor, you went to American Graffiti.
That just shows
That-
his age.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he didn't mention Opie. I mean, he
No.
didn't mention.
I'm not sure.
Cut it down.
I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not sure
there's
too many
no
of our.
Happy Days. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not too sure if many of our people will even know Opie.
Anyway, I took us off the rails there.
Yeah.
Well-
but anyway, that's what I do. I mean, I like being behind the scenes. I like that creativeness. I like puzzles. And, you know, you asked me earlier, you know, some of our most favorite productions, the ones that went well.
And most of them did. And while Randy, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of how we do what we're doing. Casey, I want you to explain why we're doing this. Why is this important?
One, to prove that we could.
Yeah.
When I first got here, when in the old days of Fox 46, we were broken, and we had no confidence. We had no swagger. We couldn't execute pretty much anything very well, and
Right.
and we needed to just prove to ourselves that we could do something big. And the first really big production we did was what we called Diamond Days. And it was during the dog days of June when there's really nothing going on in sports. And we decided to go and do a tour of all the minor league baseball parks and do live newscasts from those parks.
Yeah.
And that kind of evolved into doing our hometown shows
Sure.
and focusing on individual towns and doing everything in those shows about those towns, but making it really, really big, and not just from one location or two locations, but usually 3 locations with lots of cameras and lots of microphones and lots of giraffes and hot air balloons and Ferris wheels and whatever we could come up with. And then it always felt like as soon as we got comfortable with something, I would get an itch in the back of my brain to say, you know, what would be cool? And then I watched the two of you guys go, and then you guys pull rabbits out of your hat over and over and over again. And now it's to the point where all I have to say is, you know, the Hornets have their season opener and it's the first game in the new Spectrum Center. Why don't we do a live show out there? And we're a week away, and I just came up with it, and everybody just goes, okay. And you guys go do these site surveys, which a lot of stations don't even do that. You go out there a week or 2 weeks before a shoot, and you walk around and you actually come up with what you think the shot should be and the location should be, and you test the signal strength out of there. And
which is the opposite approach of a news crew. A news crew rolls in, pulls up late, throws up one camera, goes live, and dashes away.
And maybe a light.
Maybe a light. And, you know, we do that at times, and that is local news in a nutshell. So the fact that you give us the time to go out and do some scout surveys and really sort of bring some cinematic qualities to it. Much of that's because of Randy and Randy's background, and we're going to get into that in a few minutes.
Let me add to that, because I mean, how we have evolved in what we do here at Queen City News is we don't have production cameramen. We have photojournalists.
Sure.
Their job is to tell a story. So the difference between that, telling a story, and doing a show, they've had to learn the new responsibilities of calling, so what, stay in your lane.
Right.
Because, I got this great shot over here. I know. I already got another camera or 2 other cameras giving me the same shot.
Yeah.
I know you're trying to tell the story, but you got to stay in your lane. That keeps the production clean. And our kids have really learned well and taken on. And they know the SOP that you, Casey, and I have set for Queen City News. And I hope other stations have. I know they've noticed that what a professional look we have.
Well, that's something I call the Randy standard. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your skirt. It's something you have instituted here at our station, and there have been times I've cursed you for it. But in looking back, you've made us a lot better, and I appreciate it. But before we hand you the trophy and the sash and all that, we're going to take a quick break. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. And we're back, talking about going big with local television. Casey, I want you to view something, and I want your thoughts about it once we're done. Let's listen to something.
We're seeing the movie. That's good. We're seeing the movie. That's good.
Do you want to pinch up more, or is that
No, that's good. That's a good frame.
I'm seeing good bottom. Everybody's
Casey,
involved.
do you know anyone who likes to look at lights and television screens more than Randy Nilsson?
I thought I used to like to look at lights and production scenes like that, but no. And one thing that I wish you had a picture of is Randy works himself into a sweat
He does.
like nobody's business.
He does.
I mean, I won't divulge how old Randy is. Randy, I may look like Father Time. Randy's older than I am, and Randy works his ass off.
He does have an incredible amount of energy, and there are times I've wanted to hit him with the tranquilizer dart. There's been many times I've wanted to hit Randy with the tranquilizer dart. But in the process of
Thank God your aim's bad.
of all that effort, he really has taught all of us here how to up our game. Randy, briefly, tell me 3 of the feature films you've worked on.
Oh gosh, none of our viewers will remember. These are old. The Rock, Armageddon, Air Force One, G.I. Jane, Perfect Storm.
Those are not student films, man. Those are big Hollywood productions.
I only went to college for a year,
Sure.
but I was giving opportunities, and I wasn't going to let those opportunities go by. So I learned everything I could. Even when I made the jump, I left local TV. When I left Seattle, Dumb Luck, the movies dropped in my lap in Richmond, Virginia, of all places. My wife and I talk about how I got to Hollywood through Richmond, but I knew I had an education there. And when Grip and Electric sat down after rehearsal, said, okay, they have the set for an hour, hour and a half to relight and do what we need to do after rehearsal. I stayed on set. I pelted the DPs. I pelted the key grip electricians and lighting directors like that. I had an education there. I was never going to let that go. And the more I knew it, the more valuable I made myself. If anybody out there wants to try to make their way into feature films, and especially if they're in local news like our photojournalists, it's the best training you can have. Not taking away from film schools or anything else, but photojournalists telling a story, they have to know how to think on their feet and make it happen now. They don't have 10 minutes. They got to do something now.
I just want to tell you that I made up for your only doing 1 year of college. I did 5.5, and every summer. So if we average the two of us, we both did 4 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hard time. Well, Randy, what you learned in the movie, you have certainly brought here and taught me a lot of terms that I won't even go into.
Well, my favorite part is, I won't name names, but when we started doing heavy production here, started getting into it, and I looked at this person, I said, he said, what do you need? I said, I need 2 maffers, I need a quacker, a wall spreader, trombone, and that person just looked at me and asked me if I could draw him some pictures.
Yeah.
Through those days, we have evolved. Every one of us, part of our crew, they know the equipment, they know what it takes.
Sure.
Now we're getting away from steps and upping our game even more, because they don't have to ask. They know what is needed. They go to the production truck and go.
Yeah, and it certainly has become a little easier over the years now that we understand your language and what you're talking about.
Around the quacker.
But things don't always go well, even with all the preparation in the world. And before we go, I did want to play a quick clip and have you, Randy, describe what is going on in this particular clip. I need you to set the case.
Oh yeah, this is Panthers Spartanburg summer camp, and you think you're going to be good. You got rain cover. We built a tent, stage, everything, and then you get hit with a squall, and you just hang on for dear life. At this point, one gust of wind came up. We had 4 people holding that tent down, and it lifted us all 4 of us into the air.
Yeah, I thought they were going to find me wrapped in that tent somewhere hours later, because that was a heck of a storm, and even that video doesn't give it quite justice. But I really thought that big tent was going to take flight, and in a moment you'll see where it pretty much just doesn't take flight.
But keep in mind, that tent was professionally assembled, and it was anchored to giant 55-gallon barrels that have like ballast in them
Mm-hmm.
Right.
to and the wind was strong enough that it was still lifting that tent.
Yeah, and we had sports and news crews from other stations taking shelter under our tent, which is more than welcome for.
You know, I mean, the hometowns, we've had a hometown before, Lake Norman, not one night, but 2 nights. First night we got pulled out of there because of lightning, and I pulled the
Right.
crews. Second night, we still had some around, but even our second night, we got pelted with rain again. We've got Corey Epps, one of our photojournalists, on the set with Maureen Works. He's holding down part of the tent and is still trying to hold and operate camera at the same time. And I'm on the other side, and then right in the middle of Maureen's hit, his tent collapsed, and he got dumped with a backside full of water. But God bless Corey, he never flinched and kept the show going.
And the viewer had no idea.
Yeah.
Which is the idea. As much as we like to talk about these big productions and how many lights and tripods and whatnot we used, we don't want the viewer to think about the camera, to think about the microphones, to think about the light. We just want to tell them a story. We'll soon have to do it again in some other precarious position, and I look forward to it. And I look forward to our next episode of Behind the Lens. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.